Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's continue here. Now we have this one block of error here, but sometimes you may want, especially for the sign up page, you may want individual errors per input here. So let's see how we can actually achieve that. Now that is not hard to achieve. Let's just remove this part here. What I will keep though is this part here, the classes for Bootstrap. Actually, no, maybe I don't even need those classes. So what I want to do is see how it looks like when I put some text down here. Okay, so on the first name, below the first name, so it actually works as I intended. So we put this small text here, but let's put some classes. So the class we want is text danger, so that it looks red like this. And let me refresh. Okay, there it is. Now it's not as small as I would like it to be. Let me try moving it outside here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the size does not change at all, but I'll keep it in there. Let me put some padding on the x-axis. You can either use padding or margin here. Let's try padding of 2 so that it goes inward a little bit. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so that could be an error. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an if statement over here just so we can get this error when it comes up. So we're going to say if not empty. So we expect a variable called errors, and I expect that first name, if first name has an error, it should show here. So I'm going to do this and say end if, like that, and let's move this over. Okay, so at this point then I can grab this and then put it over here like so. So I do need my PHP tags, so I'm gonna do this like that. Okay, so if there's an error named first name, it should actually show there. So let me try. Yeah, okay. So I will copy this onto the others as well, like that. Okay, then change from first to last name and do the same thing for email address, like that. Let's just say email, and same thing for password. Now we don't need 2 of these. We can deal with password issues with just 1. Okay, so in this case you will notice we don't see those items, but if I happen to have an error, let's say this is a sign up, right? The sign up view. If I go in the plugin here where we are loading the sign up view, I could create an errors thingy here and say inside email and just say email not valid, for example. Once I have that, it should show here. So if I refresh, there it is. So that's how we will get errors to show one by one, and you can put them exactly where you want and style it as you wish. Okay, so now keep in mind that we are doing the controller stuff in this function, but then we will need to display the errors over here. So we will need to transport those errors through this set value so that we can get them from here with get value. Okay, so once we get to this point, if we have any errors, like let's say the sign up here, I'm going to say errors is equal to vars. Vars should have errors in there set like that, but it's possible this might not be set, so let's just set it to an empty array if it isn't. Okay, good, that way we get no errors. Now let's deal with the controller. Before we even deal with that, let's come back to our login page here, and let's not forget our CSRF code. So let's go here and let me echo that PHP CSRF like that. So we echo that. Same thing here in the sign up, we do exactly the same thing. We can put it anywhere as long as it's inside the form. That is fine. Okay, great. So now let's go to our controller and finish up what we started. So in the controller here, we have to make sure that what was posted, because we have anytime we post, this is likely to, it doesn't matter because this plugin runs on every single page. So keep in mind that whatever page we are on, this actually runs. So this part will run whenever we post on any page that we are posting, regardless the page we are on and the plugins that are there, the controller part will run. So we need to filter out only what we need. So here, instead of having one controller, you can actually have multiple controllers. Let's say the sign up controller, the the login controller, etc., etc. So maybe we do it that way so that it's easier to, you just go to one file when you know you want to fix the login. Instead of going through one file, you can go to and looking for where the problem is, you can go to very specific file that you want. So let me save this one as the signup.php. Now, in order to know what these are, you could put -controller here. That way, it's a mental note for you to know what this actually does, so you don't mistake it for a view. So we can do that instead. And then here, we will say if request posted, and then you say and page, like that. Okay. Now you can use page or you can use URL 0. It's the same thing. So let's try page is equal to, and then here we go, login, and then close like that. Now keep in mind that whenever you put this direct value, you risk things not working. If you do change that, maybe you want this to be different. So instead, let's use a variable. It's always a good idea to use variables instead. So here we'll grab this and do that and say vars. Like so. Okay, so vars login page. So if those two things are correct, then we'll have this. Now if these are correct instead, so instead, if this is correct, let's do sign up here. Like that. Okay, so these are both controllers. And then here, let's change that to sign up. Okay, so in this case, we get a sign up or a login controller, depending on what we are doing. All right, so let's try that. And nothing seems to be out of the ordinary, no errors and stuff, so we are good to go. Okay, so now we have two controllers, login and sign up. So let's go to the login controller here. Now in order for, or the sign up controller, sorry. Now in order to save anything here, we will need a model and a migration file, because we need to create a database table. Now if we go to our config over here, this is where we put our configuration. There is a database here that we are using, but let me put it back. I think I forgot to put this back. It's plugin DB, that's the default. Actually, it's plugin PHP DB, that's the default value. Now, in a case where you want a particular plugin to connect to a different database while other plugins are connecting to another database, you can actually do that in the same project. So keep in mind that if we go to the the database class, if you watch here, we have a filter that says before DB connect. So at this point, you can actually change any of these values using any plugin that you want. So for example, the DB name can be changed here. So you don't actually have to save that here. You can have a default version here, a default database name, but then you can also change at runtime the database that you want to use by simply saying add filter, and then you use the before, before DB connect, and then you can edit any of these values. But for our sake, we're going to use the config file here. All right. Where? Okay. So plugin PHP DB. So let's create that database. Now, there's no command for our command line tool to create a database because it's unnecessary, because let's go to PHP my admin here, because all online services will not allow you to do that anyway. So let's just click on new. Maybe I already have that database plugin PHP DB. We did create it in an earlier tutorial. So all I'm going to do is just drop the table that exists there. Okay, so the database exists, but now let's focus on what columns we need. So of course we're going to need first name as a column. We're going to need last name. We're going to need email. We need password. We will need date created, date updated, date deleted. And we could need deleted itself. So usually when you're making big projects, it's a good idea not to delete user accounts. Even if someone clicks delete, you just ignore that as a deleted account, because sometimes information is tied to a specific account and you may not have access to that information. Once the account is deleted, you will get errors. So it's better, even as an account was deleted, you still have an archive of it. Okay, so date deleted, date updated, and then date, I didn't have deleted anyway. So what's missing here? Now you may notice that a user row is missing, but we'll create another table to handle that because we want advanced setting of user rows. We just don't want admin. We want one person to have many rows if possible. So, and then any extra, actually let's add a slug there for a second. Depending on your system, maybe that's not necessary. What am I missing? I'm missing something here, I know. Okay, if something is missing, we will add it later. That way we can see how to add things later if needed. I think this is the basic. Oh, we need image. Sorry about that. Image, there it is. Okay, good. So I'm going to grab these. I think this should be enough. Let me go to, now I need to create a migration file. So let's open our CMD and let's navigate to our folder. So I'm just going to right click, open folder, and I want to grab that path so that we're in that path. And I'll say PHP Thunder, and here I will say make. Let's make a model, and we'll call this one user. So singular for models. Oh, I forgot the plugin folder not found. So it assumes that user is a plugin folder. So my bad there. I'm supposed to type basic auth as the folder we are targeting, and then say user as the model name. So that worked. Now let's create a migration file as well. So we'll say PHP Thunder, and then we'll say migrate, and we will say, no, actually we should make a migration, and this is inside basic Auth, like that. The migration will be called users. Here you can use plural because that's kind of like the table name. So enter. All right, so those things are created. I'll leave this for now so I can copy this name and migrate it when I want. So we come back here, and you will notice in the migration folder we have this new file. We also have a user model here ready to go. So it already tells us this is the users table we are targeting, which is true. Primary key ID, true for now. But now let's grab these columns that are here and put them where we need. So this is the user model. I want these guys to be here, so I will paste over there like so. These are the columns we are allowed to edit in here. And so I will grab, I'll do this on all of these guys, and then the end as well, but a comma as well there. Yeah, now this gets very tedious if you are creating a table that's quite large. I remember one time creating a table that has 300 columns for some project. That was insane. Anyway, this is good. So these are the ones we can, we don't need these. Let me copy these, all of these here. Then we can select them properly. So I'll paste that. We don't need to edit the updated on the first try or even the deleted. We don't want to delete something immediately we create it. So these can all be edited. When signing up, really, we don't usually add an image. Depending on how your system is, we could leave it there. No harm with leaving it there. We can't change the date created here once we are updating. The rest can be updated, even the deleted, updated, deleted. Okay, great. So now that we have those, this email, this one is already done for us. Let's do the, I'm going to copy this up to, let's see, just the emptiness, right? And what else can I do with this? Okay, so I want to deal with the first name. So I'll do this, first name. Here we can say first name. A first name is required, okay? Now you can limit what symbols a person can add by just doing an else here. And let's add a different check using preg_match. Let me use this. So here we can say if preg_match, if not preg_match, like that. So here we just want letters A to Z, capital A to capital Z. That's fine. We close that, of any length. Let's put a $sign at the end to say up to the end it should be accurate, and a caret from the beginning. And then what else can we allow? We don't even allow spaces in first name, right? So now it's very, let me put trim over here instead and grab this, because we can remove, we should remove the trailing and leading spaces while we are testing here. Alrighty then, first name is required. No, we can just say only letters with no spaces allowed in first name, something like this. Because people, if you allow spaces, let's say in the first name and last name, people will put their first name and last name or 3 or 4 names in there, and it's going to match, which you may not want. You just want a single name in there, limit it to that. So also, let's change this to last name. We do exactly the same thing for this. Last name. All right, great. Email is already there. What else? That's really it from the user. First name and last name. You may want to add a username. Same process here. Doesn't really matter. Let me close that up. Okay, so we have that to check for. And even on the update, let me copy this. We will want exactly that. So I'm going to paste that here so that the validate update does exactly the same thing. All right, that pretty much sums it up for our model class. Okay, now let's go to the migration file and fix that as well. So we have all these columns here, but except for we don't need these two down here, but the delete and date created and all that are legit. So let me paste these guys over there, like so. And let me remove these guys from here. We will need the rest. Great. So what I'll do is just select these guys over here and type this, and then add column. And let's do that. Let's go to the end. And with this, we'll describe, this is the var car. And each name is allowed 30 characters. I think that's enough. And then we allow, depending on what it is, you can allow it to be empty, which is null. And I think that's about it. So let's close that and semicolon like this. Now let's go in and change this one. We will need at least 1024 characters because we'll be saving a link to the image itself. Not the image, but just a link. The email can have 100 long, and the password can have 255 long, like this. Okay, cool. I think that actually does it. We don't need any of this stuff. We don't need to seed. You can seed because let's see if we can seed actually. Let me do this. How do you remove, let's see, comment, toggle comment, toggle block comment. Okay, so that doesn't work. So we want to seed data here. So I'm gonna grab this and remove these guys. Oops, I went too far there a little bit. Okay, let's remove that. So let's insert one user at least. So I'm gonna say admin. This is the first name. Let's duplicate that for last name as well. Will be admin. The email will be that email@email.com. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something. We need gender. Okay, not to get sensitive there. And password, of course. And with the password, we're going to have to use the password hash function, and the string will be password, like that. And yeah, password default, let's leave that there like so. What else? Oh, sorry, that should be, what should be here? A comma, right? Yeah, there should be a comma. I forgot commas here. Yeah, my bad. These days you can put a comma at the end there in PHP, which is pretty neat. Okay, so that what else do we have? Image is nothing. We have nothing in the image, but it's allowed to be null, so we can ignore that. These are the keys. What other keys do we need here? We can also add a key to first name and last name for search purposes. You could make it one key for both columns, but let's leave it as it is. Deleted the email also, because we'll be using that to log in. So let's put that there. Alrighty then. I think this looks great. Okay, so we have a migration file, we have a model file done, and in the next video we're going to migrate and see how that goes.